Hey, how you doing today? We got another video we putting up today, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children, witches and warlocks, saints and sinners. This is your boy Stone Thug. Stone Thug, rapper, singer, composer, artist. You know all the things I do. I try to do it all. The problem is I try to do it all at the same time. Today is a very special video, and I've been putting up rather different videos of late. Maybe I'm going through something, but they're good things. This particular one is called, what did we decide to call this? Hold on one second, I gotta check my notes. I want to get the name right. Okay. One second. Oh, man. I cannot. Oh! I finally got it. I just want to say the name right. It's called What I Love About Black Women. What I Love About Black Women. I knew it was called Black Women something. So what I do is the notes, the videos I want to work on, I sort of sketch out the name, the title. So this one was so interesting. I thought I had to really take that extra time to write the name out exactly how I wanted it. So in this video, I wanted to talk about black women. Because, face it, black women, they've been taking some hits of late. And that's something new and rare for them. Black women have been sort of held up and sort of have, anyway, they've been, they have an interesting past. So in order to really kind of get into this video, maybe I have to do a little background for you. Now, throughout history, the early history of America, the black male, the brothers, have gone through all the stuff that you know and I know and God knows that they've gone through. And this is not a black male bashing video, so those of you who are seeing the title and thinking that I'm going to beat up on the brothers, you got the wrong channel. There's a lot of brothers out there beating up on black folks and brothers. You can go to those videos. But this one is not one of those videos. And I'm not saying anything wrong about those ones that's out there beating up on black folks. Some black folks need to be beat up on about certain things. But I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about, this particular video is about black women. But I need to discuss the past, should I say, of the black male in America. And, well, you know, we touch on this in so many videos. But everybody in the world knows the problems that black men had in America and certain parts of the world. And in the early days, it was 1,000,000,000% not necessarily their fault. And I had to say that not necessarily because even back during the slave trade, there were some black folks who participated in the slave trade. So they had to be accountable for some responsibility because they were, I believe the way it went was in Africa, tribes fought between each other. And like in all wars, small skirmishes and whatnot, you would eliminate your enemies by any means necessary. Kill them, chase them out, you know, out of your district, area, province, landfill, or whatever. But in a lot of cases, with larger battles, they wanted to eliminate their enemies. Pretty much how mankind is overall. And they came up, the way the story is told, people who were interested in the slave trade, once they have used members of other races, because other races were considered first, and they didn't make very good slaves. So what happened was once the idea was they were approached about selling slaves or getting rid of their enemies, that's how it all started. When people got the idea, we can buy the slaves from them. If we help us capture your enemies, we can make sure your enemies wasn't around anymore, so you wouldn't have your enemies, and we can help eliminate them. And so that's basically how people got caught up, the tribes and stuff, in helping with the slave trade. So they had to bear some responsibility for that. And as far as they were concerned, they probably thought that they were just going to a different place, not necessarily going to be tortured and all the horrific things that happened to them for 300-400 years. But nevertheless, they were responsible, and they wanted to get rid of their enemies, as do all people who want what they want. So throughout history, through European history and whatnot, America being largely dominated by European history, the idea came about during slavery time, because slaves were human beings. They were men, just like the men who were over them. They had to humiliate and dehumanize them in order for their children, wives, and their churches to accept the idea of slavery. So you had to make slaves something other than human. Yeah, they looked human, they could speak, and all that kind of stuff. But even a lot of that stuff perpetuated even up today, some ignorant folks. But nevertheless, that was a way of not feeling bad about the mistreatment of black people and children. They sold children, and just all the barbaric stuff that they went through. If you have any doubts or you're curious about that, you might want to read books that were written by slaves. That's right, slaves have books that were written. You can Google them. And those slaves that tell their stories, or the stories of slaves, should I say, those are horrifically diabolical books to read, because you hear about the treatment of slaves. Some people have a hard time getting their brain around the idea of slavery. They seem to think that slaves were treated well. In some cases, they actually were. But in most cases, they were property. And property had to be handled. Property had to be controlled, regulated. It had to be dealt with in another fashion other than treat them as human beings. So those are very fascinating stories. Okay, so that brings us to modern days, to women. So basically, the black man had foot put on their head in America for just hundreds and hundreds of years. And sometime around, I guess, the 50s, they started to separate between the black men and the black women. So the black women had slightly a little edge, where if you look at movies like Gone with the Wind and you see Mammy, they actually cooked for the masters or the owners of slaves and slave property. They lived in a big house, so they were a lot closer to the family of the owners, and they received a little better treatment, the women, opposed to the men, because after all, they're cooking for you. You don't want to beat them too bad. So what happened is that started to come through the 60s, and they got a little better treatment. The men were pretty much treated just like workhorses. I mean, you treat them like you do, your dog or your horse. If it's a good dog, if it's a good horse, you treat them a certain way. But the women were treated just slightly better, but still just the same. And then sometime around the 60s, where the women lived movement and all the equal rights and stuff came along, which was a good idea. Of course, it was implemented by power brokers and stuff that ran things in the government, and the power people that ran things for the country as a whole, because they wanted to get tax money from women. So women not working wasn't always a good idea. if they can get women to be equal, feel equal, and go out and get equal pay, they would have 2 checks opposed to 1. Now that was the psychological reasoning behind the women's lib movement. It wasn't so much that they cared about women and cared about women's ideas. It was to get a higher tax base. So those of you who didn't know that, now you know. So basically, the black women was told they were special, equal, more so than even the men. Now, not only was it a psychological thing that they did to them to ensure that they were superior of thought and social status in America, but they implemented programs and all, welfare programs, different programs like that, where they were so diabolical in the beginning. Not that they are diabolical. Those are wonderful programs. White folks used them for years before black folks ever took a look at them. And they're wonderful, wonderful programs for whoever get them. And by the way, there's a lot more white folks on welfare and food stamps than black folks. But nevertheless, the point being that in the early days of the program, they actually encouraged and promoted homes without the fathers in them, in order to make you eligible to receive a lot of these programs. So that, the idea behind it, the stigmatism's all behind it, the idea that fathers were encouraged to be out of the homes, that was just one factor. Black men, they didn't necessarily need that not to be in a home, because they were living under so much duress and stress for most of the time they've been here in America, that any chance they got a chance to get out, they were willing to do it. But that was just one of many programs that encouraged that kind of, lifestyle. Now, basically, the lifestyle of men not being in a home is actually a new phenomenon. The black man has always wanted to be in a home. Where else were they going to go? They couldn't have peace nowhere else. They couldn't even go to restaurants unless they sit in the back, came in the back door or whatever. So they never really wanted to be nowhere but with their women folks, if they could do it. But for various reasons, and a lot of this stemmed back to even slavery days, where men were encouraged to go out and about and have babies and do things of that nature. Yeah, at that time they encouraged black men and black homes to break up and whatever. They actually broke them up. They actually encouraged men to go out with different women and have babies, because that's how a lot of the property owners at that time, property owners being those who owned black folks, that's how they made their money. Slaves went for a lot of money back then, $2,000-$3,000, That was a lot of money in the 1800s, 1700s, 1600s. So if they can have a black man go out and feed him real good, work him real hard, and he go out and have 5 kids by 5, 6 different women, oh my goodness, that was money in the bank. That's slaves they didn't have to buy. It was just money coming through the door. So funny and ironic as it is, they encouraged that behavior years ago. Now, of course, it's frowned upon now, and it's something that they hold over the heads of black men as a whole, but they encourage that. There's a 90% reason why that is. The other 10%, well, the brothers just enjoy going out and seeing the girls. Well, they say, well, that was then, this is now. Well, yeah, it's true. We are responsible for what we do now. So I definitely encourage brothers who like to go out there and have a bunch of babies. It's a fun thing to do, I'm sure. You should stay home and stay with your wife. Now, with that said, most of them know that now, because they understand that. It's not no real benefits in men going out there having a bunch of kids now, because, frankly, they're chasing you and chasing your money, and it's just a very difficult world out there if you have a bunch of kids and they're tracking you down regarding child support. But now that brings us to modern day, and it brings us to the point that I was talking about. Again, what was the title? Make sure I got this title just right. What I love about black women. What I love about black women. Okay. Now, black women were socially superior in the eyes of society in America for a long time. Really started to break away in the 50s In the 60s, it became stronger with this women live stuff. It was encouraged with the independence of women in the 70s, the 80s. In the 80s, it was about money. Reagan came in, it was about money. Everybody had to have money. If you didn't have no money, you were nobody. So, being socially acceptable was connected to finance around the Reagan era. So that's where another division broke away. And that was the mentality of, if you got money, then you're doing good. If you don't have money, then you're not crap in America. And they actually backed that up through legislation and coming at the folks on welfare and social services and belittling them and making them feel bad. They always sort of had a stigmatism of being that way, but society as a whole started clamping down on people who were doing less fortunate than others, because it was a lot of money to be passed around during the Reagan era. So a lot of men who were not making the top dollars, they were looked upon as being less than a man. Before, it basically, all you had to do was just be a man. They liked you, of course. You had an edge if you were taller. You had an edge if you were, being that society was the way it was. If you were a little lighter skinned and less dark at that time, you had a little more of an edge. If you were educated or had a good family, had a little more of an edge, Nowadays, in time, it really doesn't matter. You can be 3 feet tall and dark as a piece of charcoal. And society basically will accept you based off the content of your character in most places. Of course, if you have money, that's a major factor, and they will give you an edge. You will always have an edge in America with money, because America is about the dollar. Kid yourself not. So what had happened to the black woman, where a person like me feel compelled to make a video confessing his love toward black women, was that something curious happened around 10 years ago. It started to happen around 7 years ago. It was reinforced, where you had basically started with the ruckus players and the newscaster guy, talk show guy, calling those girls nappy-headed hoes. Well, around that time, there would start to be a cosmic shift, if you will, in the way society started to look at black women. And black women had, they had a lot of reasons they could have been, talked about, because, they were never perfect. And, but generally the negativity or the negative the words or things that you heard about people in society was always looked upon the man. And any chance or opportunity society had a chance to put their foot down on the man's neck, either through divorce court or substance abuse situations, or not giving them jobs, or just any kind of conceivable way of putting their foot on the black man's neck, it was always taken. But the black women was always given a pass, having to deal with that sort of the brunt of the society's venom that they had toward the black culture for various reasons. But like I said, at that time, when the man made the statement about nappy-headed hoes, it seemed to have been, the floodgates had been open around that time, where it was sort of okay to talk about black women. And it never had been a time like this last 5 or 6 or 7 years for black women. They've really been going through. Now, a lot of it was self-inflicted, because you can watch YouTube videos and see ignorant folks everywhere, and a lot of them being women. And black folks as a whole are very verbal, very passionate people. So it's not hard to point your finger and say, oh, well, they're loud, or they're emotional, or they're ready to fight when, someone does them wrong. And the comparison to other races might be where we might talk big and we may fight over something squabble a little or whatever, a lot of us, if the situation arouses where someone, let's say, disrespects you or some level or another. You have a lot of people that are that way. Where the difference is with other folks, well, black folks might take, let's say, an example, your tires on your car. Other people might take your entire car. Other races and cultures might take your pension. They might take your very life. They might take your city, your state, may even take your country. So overall, every race, culture has its bad boys. But I think if you were to weigh and balance things out, you'll find that black folks are a lot less violent or should I say, burdensome to society than other peoples. Of course, no one should be over the top in terms of hard to deal with. But black folks overall, a lot of the things that you've heard coming up about black men and black women is exaggerated because they're easy targets. I mean, they're black. After all, you can point to them and say, hey, black. Black's popular now. It's hot now. Everybody wants to be black now. But back in the day, that was a problem. You were easy target. You spot you. It's the black guy. It's the black girl. It's that black girl. It's that black guy. You know, it's not like that anymore, thank God. But that's basically where a lot of that stuff stemmed from. So the point of this video is I wanted to just say I love black women. I wanted to tell them that Stone Thug loves black women. Oh boy, do I love black women. And I started when I saw my ex, and I said to her, I said, Lynn, you know what, you're a good woman. I just want you to know that. And she just thought that was just, she just thought that was just incredibly kind of me to tell her that she was a good woman. It was so, it took nothing for me to do it. It was like drink a glass of water. And I wanted her to know that because I was making a video, and I wanted her to know that I thought that she was a good woman. Now, she's my ex. Do I want to get back with her? Hell to the no. But she's a nice woman. I can still see the good points in her. The things that she has done, the things that she does well. And I wanted her to be encouraged. And what inspired me to actually make this video today is that I went down to the beach with my buddy Glenn the other day. And we were down there, and I was looking around, and I'm finishing up this video. I know it's getting kind of long. But we were down at the beach, and we had this little spot where we were, and we could see all the people passing by. And they had a lot of visitors. They had all kinds of women. They had gold diggers come by. They had a lot of women who were not interested in men. They straight up gay, and were men haters. Some of them were nice, but they wasn't interested in men. Some of them were mean. Some of them were black. Some of them were white. Some of them were European. Just all over the world, these people were coming by the beach. And me and my buddy was in this one spot. We were checking them out, you know, as guys do. And it's time to get toward the end of the day, and I wasn't dressed as nice as I wanted to be. I didn't have that little shine to me the way I wanted to have it on my clothes, you know, just really like, you know, I wasn't looking quite the way I wanted to look. But I was looking just okay, tall guy, brother just down there checking out the water, checking out the sun, checking out the babes. And this young black sister who was absolutely breathtaking to look at. I mean, she looked great coming. She looked great going. I mean, she had a rack. She was stacked. Waistline like a dime. Just absolutely dreamy. I mean, she was breathtaking. Young and pretty. And her face was just absolutely gorgeous. Hair was all nice and everything. And she made it a point to come over there by me. And she said to me, "How you doing?" She said, hi. Nice, sweet voice. And I looked at her, I said, hey, how you doing? She said, I'm all right. And then she just kept walking. And she, made it clear I could come up to her and I could say, more if I wanted to, like, hi, or hey, what's up, what's your name, what's your number, what's your, the spiel. I didn't take her up on her offer, but I didn't forget that she made it. And I was so touched by that after watching, I don't know, 2,000 or 3,000 people walk by. And some looked up and, gave you a look, a smile, a grin, a gesture, a little flash with the eyes. But for this sister, looking like a 10, to come up to a brother that wasn't looking like a 10. He was looking like a 3 or 4. I mean, he was just casually comfortable, but not fancy. Not like I normally would go when I'm going out to the beach. And I wasn't really, making headway with those beautiful Europeans. You look, some of them look, they all over you if they know you. They recognize me. Oh, that's different, But if they don't recognize you, you're not famous. You're not, you ain't in your Stone Thug mode where they just zoom in on you and just, oh, they Stone Thug. See, are you flashing? Nothing like that. Nothing fancy. Just looking average. Just blending in. And his sister, beautiful, prize-winning, champion young lady came up to me. And she spoke and she made it clear that she wanted to know who I was. Her sweetness just transcended the place, the time, the moment. It was just wonderful. And so I was inspired. And I said to myself, I'm going to make a video. And I'm going to say, thank you, young lady. And I'm going to say, thank black women who give, to this day, still give men the benefit of the doubt. There's lots and lots of good sisters out there. You don't hear much about them. They're not talked about. They're not on those stupid ass shows that you see them clowning and on YouTube videos where people are fighting. Not those loud, ignorant, ornery ones. I'm not talking about them. Maybe they might be good when they're off camera. But I'm just talking about the silent, easy going, everyday ones that's just doing their thing. That aren't men haters, but will give a brother a break. That remember that God put them down here for a full and complete reason. To meet, to greet, to marry, to live a whole and complete life with a man. To you, to those sisters, I want to say that I love good people. I love good women. And to you sisters, you soldiers that have held out and held on for all this time, I want to say peace. Keep up the good fight. I know it's not easy dealing with the brothers. The brothers are all over the place now. So we get to live like white boys now. White boys have been all over the world 29,000 times. And we'll talk about people having babies. White boys been all over the world. They got babies on every continent of the globe and always have since the Roman days and before and after. You don't hear nothing about that. Because they ain't claiming them babies. But it ain't about them. The brothers are the new white boys. And they all over the place. They going to Brazil and they just having a good old time. But I want to say to the brothers, don't forget. Don't forget about the sisters. Because the sisters are worth taking another look at. The sisters are beautiful. They hard-headed, some of them. Yeah, they talk too damn much. Yeah, if they get something on you, you're in trouble. Yeah, they'll call the police on you if you hit them. If you threaten them, oh, look out. But through it all, sisters are keepers. So God bless you, sisters, and God bless you, brothers, who bless the sisters. This your boy Stone Thug. Peace, love, and soul to all of you. And there's some very good other races out there too. But this video is for the sisters. Peace. Stone Thug.